Alien War Beast rejects every cadet, until it chooses the human as Pack Alpha. Harsh white light flooded the main training hangar of the Galactic Military Academy. Metal floor panels shone like mirrors, throwing back 32 rigid silhouettes in full cadet armor. These were the best prospects from a dozen loyal worlds of the Catharian Empire. Towering Methril with reinforced bones, sleek Valkri with a faint psionic shimmer around their crests, armored Sorians bred from apex predators. And in the middle of their formation stood one human in dark navy blue, trying to pretend his heart wasn't punching his ribs apart. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss our latest uploads. Marcus Cole focused on keeping his breathing slow as the containment field at the far end of the hangar cycled down. Layered energy bars flickered out one by one. When the last bar dissolved in a hiss of ozone, the war beast stepped forward. Gasps moved down the line like a physical wave. The creature was 3 meters at the shoulder, a living tank wrapped in overlapping plates of scaled armor that shifted between obsidian black and deep crimson. 6 forward-facing eyes watched the world with hungry precision, and a ridge of bioluminescent neural spines ran from skull to tail, pulsing in patterns Marcus couldn't decode. 2 flexible forelimbs, part arm, part guillotine, ended in retractable bone blades that he'd seen on training vids slicing battle armor like paper. The Valkri war beasts, instructors love to say during lectures, are the Empire's final argument in any conflict. Senior Commander Vaos crossed the polished floor, moving on 4 powerful lower limbs, upper arms clasped behind his back. His dark carapace carried the scars and medals of more campaigns than Marcus could count. When he spoke, his voice boomed against the hangar walls. Cadets of Cycle 947. The Empire has invested 15 cycles in your training. You have mastered combat theory, scored above baseline in tactical simulations, and survived physical conditioning that kills the unworthy. Today, the Empire's greatest living weapons will decide which of you deserves command. He gestured toward the war beast. This is Krell, alpha specimen of the Dairy Pack. There are 12 such predators in the entire Empire. Each is worth more than a planetary defense grid. While you slept, your scent and neural patterns were recorded. The war beast will judge your compatibility through chemosensory and psychic evaluation. Those selected will advance to command track. The rest will serve honorably in standard battalions. The murmur that ran through the formation died almost instantly. Marcus swallowed. He knew the narrative everyone else believed. The Catharian Empire had ruled war across 12 galaxies for 7,000 years. Their doctrine was brutal and simple. Only the strongest species led. Humans had stumbled into their territory less than a century ago. Awkward newcomers from an unimportant spiral arm. Letting one human attempt the academy had been a diplomatic stunt, not a real opportunity. "The human looks unsteady," whispered Traz, a Sorian cadet 2 places away, his natural armor plates flexing in amusement. Perhaps he finally realizes where he does not belong. Marcus kept his gaze locked forward. Insults were nothing new. He'd endured them in barracks, on the exercise ranges, and in quiet betting pools about how long the soft off-worlder would last. Humans didn't have natural claws, or bony plates, or built-in telepathy. What they had were things no simulator could measure easily: stubbornness, the ability to adapt fast, a talent for turning chaos into opportunity. None of that would matter if the beast decided he smelled wrong. "The selection begins," Vaos declared, stepping aside. Krell moved. For a creature that big, its motion was disturbingly smooth. Armored paws touched the deck with soft thuds, claws clicking once every few steps. The war beast stopped at the first cadet, a towering Methril whose head nearly brushed the overhead lights. Delicate tendrils unfolded from Krell's muzzle and probed the air around the cadet's neck and skull, tasting skin, sweat, implant field, and something deeper. Seconds dragged. No one moved. On the observation deck above, senior officers and scientific staff watched from behind armored glass. Krell turned away without choosing. The Methril exhaled a tight breath and reset his stance. The war beast worked methodically down the line. Some cadets got barely a sniff. Others were examined at length, sensory filaments drifting over armor seams and exposed skin, neural spines flickering in complex sequences like living circuitry. A female Valkri with a strong psionic aura drew more attention than most. Krell hovered near her, inhaling twice, then moved on. Every rejection sent ripples of disappointment, relief, or anger through the formation. By the time Krell had studied 27 cadets, Marcus's hopes had eroded down to a thin, stupid thread. It was rare, but sometimes a war beast refused everyone. The Academy loved those stories. They proved the Empire kept its standards unforgiving. Most of the time, though, the chosen were Catharian. Why risk giving power to anyone else? The war beast turned toward the last stretch of the line, toward Marcus. Every survival instinct he possessed screamed at him to bolt, to dive behind something, to get away from the layered teeth and blades coming closer. He forced himself to stand still. Krell approached until the creature's body heat pressed through his uniform like a furnace. 6 predatory eyes locked onto his face. Sensory tendrils fanned out, brushing his hairline, his jaw, the side of his neck, tasting the air around him. The examination seemed to go on forever. Marcus focused on his breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. He'd done live-fire crawls under real artillery blasts. He'd gone hand-to-hand against Sorians that could snap his spine. None of that had felt like this, like being taken apart and sampled by a calculus of instincts older than his species. As the seconds stretched, raw terror bled into something else. Underneath the fear, something in him recognized something in the beast. Not logic, not data, just a deep, primal sense. You and I hunt the same way. You're not just a weapon, he thought, meeting that alien gaze. You're a pack animal looking for someone who understands what a pack really is. Krell's tendrils finally withdrew. The neural spines along its back flared in a fast, complicated rhythm. For an instant, Marcus braced to be ignored like the rest. Instead, the war beast stepped back, swept its gaze across the entire formation as if confirming what it already knew, then turned and came straight back to him. It circled him once, twice, tail low, head tilted, 6 eyes studying every line of his posture. Then the beast sank onto its haunches directly in front of him and lowered its head just enough to expose the glowing ridge along its spine. A resonant growl vibrated through the floor. Marcus's neural implant flared as a signal ripped through the network shared by the final phase cadets. Pack Alpha found. For a second, the hangar existed in stunned silence. Then shock exploded into layered whispers. On the observation deck, several officers actually rose from their seats. Impossible. Vos snapped, marching forward, mandibles clicking in anger. There must be an error in the relay. Krell did not move. The enormous war beast remained seated before Marcus in a posture that every Academy lecture said simply did not happen. War beasts recognized commanders as partners in a highly specialized role. They did not submit to them. Senior biological specialist Thrix hurried out with scanning rigs in all 4 hands. She swept sensors over Krell's neural spines, then over Marcus's implant, eyes narrowing. "Commander," she said at last, her voice tight, "the pattern is stable. The designation is intentional. The beast has chosen Cadet Marcus Cole as Pack Alpha." Marcus barely heard her. Every briefing on War Beast bonding replayed in his head at once. The protocol was simple. If selected, step forward, place your hand on the neural ridge, and accept the link. Nothing in the manuals said what to do when the War Beast bowed first. Cadet Cole, Vos ordered, and there was something almost respectful under the command now. Complete the bonding procedure exactly as trained. We will analyze the anomaly after. Marcus's mouth was dry. He stepped forward anyway. Krell's neural ridge glowed faintly, the bioluminescent tissue pulsing like a heartbeat. He extended his hand and pressed his palm against it. Electricity and memory slammed through him. He was running on 4 limbs across broken stone under a green sky, other bodies matching his stride left and right. He felt the tight, perfect geometry of pack formation, each hunter covering an angle, each trusting the others with their blind spots. He tasted fear-sharp prey on the wind, mapped terrain in 3 dimensions, felt the perfect joy of a coordinated strike landing exactly right. The war beast's mind flooded his, but it didn't crush him. It slotted in a place like a missing sense he'd never known he lacked. When the surge eased, Marcus found himself on one knee, hand still resting on warm living armor. Krell's awareness hovered at the edge of his thoughts, a steady, disciplined presence watching through his eyes and listening through his ears while sharing its own perception back. Neural synchronicity at 97.3%, Thrix whispered, staring at her readouts. Stronger than any recorded pairing. Vaos's expression had gone hard and distant. That was his war room face, the one he wore when an unexpected variable dropped into a carefully built plan. All cadets except Cole dismissed to standard quarters, he barked. Cole and the war beast will accompany me to Special Assessment Chamber 12. The formation broke. Some cadets left in stunned silence. Others shot Marcus looks full of envy or pure hatred. The Valkri female who'd held Krell's attention earlier studied him with bright, analytical interest before she turned away. Krell rose as Marcus stepped back, falling into position half a pace behind his left shoulder without needing a spoken word. Through the new bond, Marcus felt the war beast adjust effortlessly to his stride. Its awareness overlapped his own as they followed Vaos out of the hangar and into a maze of secure corridors. The academy had always felt hostile. Now, for the first time, it also felt like someone was walking at his back, watching his blind spots, ready to tear apart anything that came for their fledgling pack. Vaos led them through layers of security, armored doors, biometric locks, humming fields that prickled against Marcus's skin and made Krell's neural spines flicker. Guards stepped smartly aside as they passed, their eyes tracking the impossible pairing. A human cadet and a legendary alpha war beast moving in step. Through the new link, Marcus caught flashes of Krell's analysis. The beast mapped firing arcs, counted weapons, calculated distances to cover points. It read the building like a hunting ground and shared those conclusions as quick, instinctive impressions. Marcus didn't get words, but he understood. Threat here, safe there, ambush potential in that blind corner. Special Assessment Chamber 12 turned out to be a secure conference room lined with shielding emitters and reinforced panels. 3 Catharian officers waited inside around a dark metal table. Their carapaces bore old battle scars and glowing campaign sigils. Marcus recognized the central figure immediately from briefings. Grand Marshal Zenther, supreme military commander of this sector of the Catharian Empire. So, Zenther said, voice low and resonant as he circled slowly, this is the human anomaly. And this is indeed Krell, alpha of the Dairy Pack. Krell's neural spines flickered once in acknowledgement. Through the bond, Marcus felt a curious pattern from the beast, a cautious respect, the way a veteran predator treats another creature that's dangerous but not prey. Technicians approached with neural scanners. Krell tensed, blades twitching. Marcus instinctively projected reassurance down the link. Safe, no threat, hold. The war beast settled, allowing the sensors to be attached along its spine. Marcus accepted his own headband of sensors without objection. Readings? Director La Sarah asked. She was the officer responsible for war beast development and integration, and her compound eyes never left the display. The human's neural patterns don't dominate or submit, one text said slowly. They're interlocking, mutual coupling. Explain in useful terms, Zenther snapped. Lasara's fingers danced over controls. Traditional commander bonds layer Catharian control signals over the war beast's instinct framework. Here, the human's brainwaves are syncing in a more symmetrical structure. The pack centers overlap instead of one overriding the other. Zenther turned all his eyes on Marcus. Human, how do you explain being selected as Pack Alpha? No non-Catharian has ever been chosen, much less given that designation. Marcus could have said he had no idea. It would have been true, but the bond hummed between him and Krell, full of impressions and half-formed concepts. I don't think Krell chose me for strength, he said carefully. Humans evolved as cooperative hunters. We survived by chasing prey for days, coordinating in small groups, relying on each other not to break formation. Our threat responses and pack instincts might feel familiar to him. To the Valkri, I mean. Lysara's eyes widened. Cross-check limbic patterns. She compared graphs on her screen, jaw plates tightening. Remarkable. The human's emotional threat centers and Krell's alpha cluster responses fire in nearly identical rhythms when we reference pack bonding stimuli. Commander Vaos made a soft clicking sound that might, for him, qualify as a compliment. Whatever the cause, the result is operational reality. A war beast has chosen a human, and in a role we did not anticipate. After more scans and muttered arguments Marcus pretended not to hear, the officers finally broke off. Vaos gestured toward the door. Cole, you and the beast will have temporary quarters adjacent to cadet housing. Containment fields remain active at all times. The bond is new. Separation is unwise. They walked again through guarded corridors until they reached a reinforced suite. The main room was larger than standard cadet quarters and ringed with emitters powerful enough to contain a rampaging Valkri. The door sealed behind them with a heavy thud. Krell padded slowly around the chamber, testing walls, corners, ceiling, every surface cataloged in a slow, patient spiral. Marcus watched from the bunk, exhausted adrenaline turning his limbs to lead. Through the link, he felt Krell's evaluation settle from alert wariness into something like acceptance. The war beast finally stretched out on a broad, low platform near the door. It angled its body so that if the hatch opened suddenly, anything coming through would meet claws and blades before reaching the bed. Protective stance, the new awareness in Marcus whispered. Pack position, guard the vulnerable. So, Marcus said quietly, resting his elbows on his knees as he looked at the enormous predator now acting like a very large, very lethal guardian. I guess it's you and me now. A warm, grounding feeling flowed back through the bond. Agreement, simple and solid. Hunt together. Watch each other. Pack formed. For the first time since he'd arrived at the academy, Marcus lay down without forcing himself to remain half awake for ambush drills. The Empire's deadliest living weapon had decided he was pack. Whatever tomorrow brought, he wouldn't be facing alone. Sleep came in waves of strange dreams. He ran on four limbs under alien moons, flanked by shapes that were and weren't Krell. They moved as a single organism through forests of glassy stone, in and out of battle smoke, always trusting the others to be exactly where they needed to be. Somewhere in the dream, his own fragility as a human didn't matter. The pack made him more. He woke to the soft hum of opening doors. Senior Commander Vaos stood there with two security troopers, all three watching the four-legged shadow between Marcus and the entrance. Krell had risen silently before Marcus was fully awake, placing itself between the human and whatever might come through. Your bond remained stable overnight, Vaos said. For him, it almost sounded like approval. Dress. You and the beast are being transferred to Orbital Research Station Helios for advanced evaluation. The shuttle that took them into orbit was cramped for a creature Krell's size, but the war beast folded in with minimal complaint, neural spines dimmed. As the ship climbed out of atmosphere, Marcus stared through the port at the world below, a training planet carved by the Catharian Empire into academies, proving grounds, and orbital yards. Helios hung in high orbit like a metal crown, a massive ring station bristling with sensor arrays and docking arms. As their shuttle approached, Marcus saw sleek warships sliding in precise patterns around it, each one designed purely for efficient lethality. At the docking bay, Director Lysara and a team of specialists waited amid stacked equipment. Their eyes tracked Krell first, then Marcus. Cadet Cole, Lysara greeted, her tone formal. I trust the neural link remained stable during ascent. If anything, it feels stronger today, Marcus admitted. During the flight, he'd sensed flashes of Krell's memories, training in zero-G arenas, hunting simulations across holographic battlefields, the raw hunger of real combat. It wasn't like controlling a tool. It was like sharing skin with someone who understood warfare on an instinctive level. Good. She gestured down a corridor toward a massive chamber. We have a full test protocol prepared. Today we establish whether your bond is an isolated curiosity or the start of something the Empire can weaponize. The primary testing arena was huge, a holosphere reconfigured to simulate multiple environments. Observation galleries ring the upper levels behind thick, transparent steel. On the floor, modular obstacles and combat drones waited dormant. We begin with basic synchronization and target elimination. La Sera explained over the comm. Standard protocol uses verbal commands reinforced through the neural bond. Use whatever method feels natural, but keep talking so we can record your language cues. Combat drones lifted into the air, weapons online. Krell's neural spines lit like a storm front. Marcus stepped forward beside the war beast. "Let's run the perimeter first," he said, projecting a mental image along the link. "Flank them. I draw fire, you hit from blind angles." Krell understood before the last word left Marcus's mouth. They moved. Drones tracked the human's smaller, more obvious form, weapons swiveling to target him. Krell blurred out of their peripheral vision like a living shadow, slamming into their exposed sides, blades shearing metal and circuitry. Marcus shifted constantly, forcing the drones to orient on him, trusting Krell to exploit every shift in firing lane. From the observation deck came stun commentary. Neural delay is almost non-existent. Command bandwidth looks shared, not top-down. Synchronization at 98% under stress. Lasara's voice cut through the chatter. Increased difficulty. Deploy adaptive drones. Combat protocols 7 through 13. The next wave fought harder. Shields shifted frequencies. Drones tried to bracket Marcus and Krell in overlapping fields of fire, but the paired movement stayed a step ahead. When Marcus dodged into cover, Krell was already there, intercepting a shot meant for his unarmored flank with layered scales. When Krell committed to a strike, Marcus was already adjusting position to keep enemy targeting algorithms off balance. After 15 brutal minutes, the arena fell quiet. Smoking drone husks littered the floor. Marcus's chest heaved. Krell paced around him, energy pulsing through the bond as satisfied pride and readiness for more. "Incredible," La Sera said softly. "Prepare the next phase. Bring in secondary specimen." At the far end of the chamber, another containment field deactivated. A second Valkri war beast stepped out. This one was slightly smaller, neural spines glowing in green-amber patterns instead of Krell's blue-white pulses. Her posture was more restless, head swinging as she took in a new environment. "This is Sarah," Lasara's voice explained. "Beta-class female. She has rejected 12 potential commanders. Approach carefully. War beasts are territorial, even under bond influence." Marcus felt Krell's awareness sharpen, wariness and pack curiosity mixing together. The two beasts circled, neural spines flashing in fast, complicated bursts of color. Data, dominance, history, something like scent translated into light. Normal doctrine said 2 alphas in the same space meant trouble. Krell made a short, sharp vocalization. Sarah's aggression dropped almost immediately. She turned her attention toward Marcus instead, stepping in close enough that he could feel the heat of her breath. Sensory tendrils extended. She tasted the air around his face and neck the same way Krell had in the hangar. Through the pack bond, Marcus felt Krell broadcasting something to her. Not words, but a deep, clear concept. "This one is ours." Pack leader. After a tense minute, Sarah stepped back and lowered her front half in a gesture Marcus recognized from the manuals. Submission to a superior. Another thread of sensation snapped into his mind. Not as strong as Krell's presence, but real and distinct. Sarah's awareness settled alongside the alphas, a second perception stream feeding him angles, scents, subtle shifts in air currents. In the observation deck, alarms chirped. Spontaneous secondary bond formation, one tech blurted. No conditioning, no stage proximity training. That shouldn't be possible. La Sarah leaned closer to the glass. It just became possible. And if he can do this with two. Krell's alpha blue neural spines pulsed in a slow, rhythmic wave as Sarah settled into the emerging pack formation. Marcus felt the new link stabilizing inside his mind like fresh circuitry integrating into an existing network, lighter than Krell's presence, but bright, quick, razor-focused. Where Krell was steady pressure and ancient instinct, Sarah was sharp curiosity, speed, and hyper-awareness. Her perception streamed into his consciousness in bursts, wind vectors, electromagnetic flickers, micro-vibrations in the arena floor. Marcus had never realized how much information the war beasts processed every second. Now he wasn't just watching them work. He was part of the working. Lasara's voice crackled over the comm. Commander Cole, proceed with dual-unit maneuvers. We'll evaluate whether your bond scales efficiently with a second predator. Marcus nodded and pushed intent across the shared link. 2-point strike pattern. Krell engages close. Sarah sweeps wide. The response came instantly. Krell's heavy musculature flexed. Sarah slipped sideways with feline fluidity, her body hugging the floor as she positioned herself for rapid flanking. The drones activated in a swarm, shields flickering alive in vibrant arcs of energy. Their targeting sensors adapted mid-flight, learning angles, recalibrating in real time. Dangerous for any commander using a conventional bond. But Marcus wasn't giving commands. He was thinking strategies, and the beasts were thinking them back. Sarah darted forward first, silver-green streak of motion. Krell slammed in from the opposite angle, drawing fire. Sarah swept beneath a drone, her talons slicing an exposed sensor cluster. Sparks exploded across the arena. Marcus felt each impact as a shift of intention and shared instinct. Not pain, not feedback, just the exhilarating certainty of a coordinated strike executed perfectly. The observation deck erupted in frantic chatter. Impossible reaction times. Shared autonomy is off the charts. Off the charts. How is the human mediating this without overload? Marcus wasn't mediating. He was keeping pace. For 10 intense minutes, the dual beast formation tore through increasingly complex drone waves. Adaptive shields, phase shift armor, rotational firing arrays designed to overwhelm pack movement patterns. But Marcus, Krell, and Sarah evolved faster. By the time the arena fell silent again, drone wreckage littered the simulated terrain like broken insect husks. Sarah's neural spines rippled with victorious energy, flashing fast, celebratory patterns that Krell acknowledged with a low, resonant rumble. Through the bond, Marcus felt a warm pulse, pride, belonging, pack. Lasara's next words trembled with excitement she couldn't hide. Prepare the next containment units. Release specimens Mace and Thorn. The chamber lights dimmed briefly as two more reinforced cages powered down. The air changed. Mace burst forward first, larger than Sarah, smaller than Krell, muscles coiled tight with predator energy. His neural spines flicked crimson blue, broadcasting agitation and challenge. Thorn emerged slower but with predatory confidence, his patterns steady amber red. His gaze locked on Marcus immediately. And in that moment Marcus felt something cold trace his spine. These two weren't just embonded. They were searching for hierarchy. Testing it. Lasara's voice came through again. Commander, be advised. These two have previously rejected multiple commanders. Expect hostility. Maintain proximity to Krell for safety. Krell shifted, stepping forward to place himself between Marcus and the newcomers. A deep rumble radiated outward, vibrating the arena floor, an alpha's warning. Mace answered with a rising growl of his own, blades extending. Thorn crouched low, preparing to spring. Every instructor Marcus had ever met would have ordered him to back away, slowly, or disengage entirely. Any sudden movement could trigger lethal reflexes. War beasts didn't attack randomly, but they did attack if dominance lines snapped. Marcus inhaled once, steady and controlled. His instincts didn't tell him to retreat. They told him to step forward. So he did, straight into the vector between Krell and the hostile newcomers. Gasps erupted from the observation deck. La Sera shouted something he couldn't hear. Krell froze, not in fear, but in readiness, awaiting Marcus's intent. Thorn's growl pitched lower. Mace's blades raised higher. Marcus reached through the link not only to Krell and Sera, but outward, toward the two beasts who weren't yet pack. He projected concept, not control, not dominance, not fear. Unity, hunt, purpose, pack with no weakness. Alpha stands not above, but its center. He opened himself to the bond, letting Krell's authority flow through him like a stabilizing anchor. Sera added her quicksilver awareness, a connective thread weaving the formation. The air trembled. Thorn blinked. Mace's neural spines flickered uncertainly. Their aggression faltered. Slowly, painfully slowly, they lowered their heads. Not fully, not deeply, but just enough for the message to be unmistakable. Recognition, compliance, pack entry pending alpha acceptance. The moment Mace dipped halfway down, a shockwave of potential burst inside Marcus's mind. Something unfurled like circuitry connecting to live power. A third link, then a fourth. Thorn's presence settled into Marcus's awareness, heavy and methodical, like a strategist analyzing every angle. Mace's was brighter, hotter, impulsive but fierce with loyalty once anchored. The pack expanded, the network stabilized, and Marcus felt, truly felt, what the Valkri were meant to be when unshackled from artificial control protocols. A living unit, a shared instinct, a tactical organism composed of multiple minds braided into one conscious hunt. He gasped, nearly doubling over from the intensity of it. Krell steadied him through their bond. Sera pulsed reassurance. Thorn offered cold focus. Mace radiated simple eagerness. Pack, strong, ready. Above them, alarms blared again. Quad bond confirmed. No neural degradation. Human neural load is stable. How is it stable? This contradicts every model, everyone. La Sera clutched the railing so tightly the metal groaned under her fingers. Krell is establishing a shared pack hierarchy around Marcus. He's not controlling them. He's leading a multi-node network. They're distributing load dynamically. Vao strode into the observation deck, mandibles tight. Document everything. Prepare for escalation. The High Command must be informed immediately. Down in the arena, Marcus found his balance, heart racing with a mix of exhilaration and disbelief. He wasn't controlling 4 apex predators. He was cooperating with them, thinking with them. The beasts moved closer, forming a unified protective circle around him. Their neural spines synced in interlocking waves of blue, red, green, and gold. Pack complete. Marcus felt Krell's mind brush as gently, with a concept more intricate than any words. Where you go, the pack follows. Lasara's voice cut through the moment. Commander Cole, prepare for full pack ordination trials. The arena reconfigured, floor plates splitting into platforms, simulated cover zones rising from the ground, reactive drones powering online with lethal precision. Marcus exhaled slowly. His pulse stabilized. The pack steadied with him. Let's hunt, he whispered. And together, 5 minds tied by instinct, respect, and something older than species, they moved as one. Marcus stood at the center of the arena floor as it shifted around him, plates rising and rotating into new terrain features. High barricades, angled ridges, hovering platforms, and dense cover sectors forming an urban assault simulation. Overhead, the observation deck buzzed with frantic voices as the pack's unprecedented quad bond continued stabilizing in real time. Krell stood just to Marcus's right, a massive wall of armored muscle and calm predatory certainty. Sera crouched lower on the left, her quicksilver movements making soft chimes across the neural link. Thorn took a rear flank position, calculating angles, analyzing threats before they even appeared. Mace paced like barely contained lightning, waiting for Marcus's go. 4 fully sapient apex predators, in perfect unison, centered around a single human. A formation that shouldn't exist by every Imperial doctrine ever written. Marcus inhaled deeply. Let's begin. He didn't shout it, didn't posture. He simply projected the intent, and the pack exploded into motion. Drones launched from all corners of the arena, dozens of them, then hundreds, forming a lethal swarm. Shields shimmered across their surfaces, weapons adjusting in rapid-fire logic loops. The simulation was meant to overwhelm even elite Catharian commanders. But Marcus wasn't alone. Krell moved first, slamming into the nearest cluster with the unstoppable weight of a meteor. Sarah darted between volleys, slicing sensors with perfect surgical strikes. Thorn anchored their formation, intercepting drones trying to flank Marcus. Mace hurled himself upward, leaping between floating platforms to tear airborne units out of the sky. Marcus didn't command individual movements. He didn't need to. With the 4 war beasts interlinked, and himself linked into that network, the entire battle unfolded like an instinctive dance. Marcus provided overarching strategy, shifting intent, redirecting their formation like a conductor, shaping music. The pack responded with fluid precision, adjusting positions before he even finished a thought. The observation deck erupted. His neural load should be collapsing. How was he handling 4 simultaneous signals? The beasts aren't consuming bandwidth. They're sharing it among themselves. This isn't command. It's cooperative cognition. Marcus heard none of it, not really. He felt where every drone would be 2 seconds ahead of time. Felt Krell's momentum before the beast launched an attack. Felt Sarah's pinpoint targeting threads, mapping weak points Marcus' human eyes couldn't see. Felt Thorn's tactical overlays. Felt Mace's kinetic predictions. He was inside the pack, and the pack was inside him. In less than 10 minutes, the drone swarm was torn into scrap metal and fire, debris raining across the arena. But the simulation didn't stop. Lysara's voice came through the calm, awestruck and breathless. Full tactical escalation. Engage Phase 3. Release heavy assault constructs. Massive armored constructs thundered forward from the far archways. 8-meter-tall bipedal siege walkers designed to overpower war beasts through raw mass and reinforced plating. Their cannons hummed as they locked onto Marcus. The pack reacted before Marcus had time to think. And yet, the moment was his. Split. 2 left, 2 right. Flank and corral. I create center distraction. Krell and Mace launched left. Sarah and Thorn veered right. Marcus sprinted straight forward. The constructs targeting arrays snapped to him, because a human in open terrain is the obvious weak point. Exactly what he needed them to believe. Energy bolts slammed into the ground inches behind him as he rolled beneath a descending steel arm, sparks showering his uniform. His neural implant buzzed with Krell's warning pulse. Danger left. Marcus twisted just as a construct's leg tore through the space he'd been standing in. On the flanks, 2 coordinated pairs of war beasts executed mirrored hunts, Krell pinning a walker's leg while Mace tore into its exposed joint, Sarah slipping under another while Thorn hammered its stabilizing gyros until the machine toppled. One by one, the siege walkers collapsed under the relentless, perfectly coordinated assault. When the last construct fell, its core sparking out, the arena went silent. Marcus stood in the center of 4 breathing titans, each of them lowering their heads, neural spines pulsing in a synchronized ripple through the shared link. Pack unity, pack strength, pack certainty. La Sarah broke the silence with a single, almost reverent whisper. History is rewriting itself in this room. Hours later, strategic command briefing. The shuttle carrying Marcus and the pack cut across the Academy's upper airspace, guided by escort fighters. Krell's presence in the cabin filled the space like a stabilizing pressure, steady, protective, coiled but patient. Sarah lay curled by the viewport, watching the shifting starfield. Thorn stayed alert near the hatch. Mace rested but twitched occasionally, chasing phantom prey through dream thoughts Marcus could faintly sense. Marcus, despite his exhaustion, couldn't stop thinking. The quad bond wasn't just holding, it was maturing. New pathways formed. New sensory layers opened. Sometimes he got flashes of old hunts from Krell's memory, or landscape impressions from Sarah, or abstract tactical maps from Thorn's mind. The pack wasn't 4 beasts and a commander. It was a single organism made of 5 beings. And that made Marcus something new. When the shuttle docked at Strategic Command, the reception was overwhelming. Officers lined the corridor, staring openly at the pack. Many stepped back instinctively as the war beasts filed out behind Marcus in unified formation, their presence radiating authority. But Marcus wasn't shown to an analysis lab this time. He was led directly to the command dome. Inside, a massive floating holomap dominated the room. Systems, battlefronts, fleet movements, all displayed in a shifting constellation of light. Commanders from every branch stood in tight clusters, muttering urgently. When Marcus entered, the room fell silent. Grand Marshal Zinther turned, exoskeleton plates shifting with a dry scrape. His mandibles clicked, not in irritation this time, but in something approaching calculation. "Commander Cole," Zinther said, "your performance today confirms the reports. What you have achieved with these 4 Dracari is unprecedented. But circumstances have accelerated." A wave of his hand zoomed the map toward the Vidian sector. The Arcturus Coalition launched a surprise offensive 12 hours ago. They have deployed a neural disruptor array that severs traditional command bonds between Catharian officers and their war beasts. Entire battalions have lost control of their beasts mid-combat. Marcus stiffened. Krell rumbled low, aware of his change in emotion. Zinther continued. "Our forces are collapsing in that sector. The disruption field renders war beast-centered warfare useless." He looked Marcus directly in the eyes. "Except for yours." Murmurs rippled through the room. Lost Sarah stepped forward. "Commander Cole's bond is not hierarchical, not control-based. It is pack-structured. The disruptor targets command-dominant signals. But his network has no such signals. It's immune, Grand Marshal." Zinther's mandibles tightened. "That is why you are here." He gestured toward the hologram again. "You and your pack will deploy immediately to Vidian Prime. Your objective: infiltrate enemy lines, locate the disruptor's core, and eliminate it." Marcus's breath hitched. "Just the 5 of us. You are the only beings in the Empire who can operate war beasts within the disruption field," Zinther said bluntly. "You are our only viable asset." The weight of those words pressed down on Marcus like gravity. Through the bond, Krell's focus sharpened. Ready. Sarah's confidence flashed like quicksilver. Thorn began mapping probable routes. Mace pulsed simple, fierce eagerness. The pack was ready for the hunt. But Marcus wasn't done asking questions. "Do we know the origin of the disruptor tech?" he asked. Admiral Xantos stepped forward. "We believe it is Coalition-developed, but the signatures don't fully match. Some elements resemble." He stopped himself, glancing at Zinther. Zinther cut him off. "You have your mission. Prepare for deployment." But Marcus didn't miss the tension. Neither did Krell. Something about this disruptor wasn't what it seemed. Deployment preparation. In the staging bay, Imperial tech crews scrambled around a sleek stealth insertion craft designed for deep infiltration. Marcus checked gear while 4 sets of war beast eyes watched him with patient confidence. A young technician approached nervously, holding out a reinforced harness. "Sir, this one's for, the Alpha." She gestured timidly toward Krell. Marcus took it and smiled reassuringly. "He'll allow it." Krell stepped forward, lowering his head. The tech hesitated only a moment before securing the harness around the massive shoulders. Krell's rumble through the bond carried amusement, not at the technician, but at Marcus's subtle effort to put her at ease. When the pack boarded the insertion craft, the cabin felt too small for what they were now. Not physically, just in presence. The pack filled the ship with instinct, awareness, purpose. As the craft detached from the station and dove toward Vidian Prime, Marcus felt something new ripple through the quad bond. Anticipation, hunt focus, recognition of danger, and acceptance. The pack had chosen this path already. Marcus watched the planet grow larger in the viewport. Forests, deserts, oceans, cities now under siege. Fires burned along the southern continent. Coalition ships drifted in the upper atmosphere like dark wounds in the sky. He braced himself as the craft shuddered under anti-flight bursts. "Commander," the pilot called. "Landing zone compromised, rerouting." Turbo lasers flashed upward. The craft banked violently. Through the bond, Marcus felt Krell's calm readiness wash through him. Sarah's quick tactical calculations flashed like sparks. Thorn braced for impact. Mace radiated excitement. Then, the craft slammed into the forest, clearing hard enough to rattle Marcus's teeth. Alarms blared. "Go!" the pilot shouted. "Enemy strike teams inbound, 5 minutes out." Marcus unlatched the restraints, moving fast. Krell, formation arcs Sarah, left flank. Thorn, Mace, rear guard. Move. The war beasts flowed out behind him into the dense alien forest, their spines illuminating the shadows like streaks of living lightning. Blaster fire echoed in the distance. The insertion team stayed behind to misdirect enemy forces. And Marcus knew, deep in the bond, deep in the human part of him that couldn't look away, they were sacrificing themselves so he could move forward. "Krell," Marcus whispered as he ran. "Remember their names when this is done." Krell answered with a pulse of fierce agreement. The hunt had begun, and the pack moved as one. Night settled over Vidian Prime like a shroud of smoke and distant artillery glow as Marcus and his pack slipped deeper into coalition-held territory. The forest canopy above flickered with falling debris from orbital skirmishes. Marcus moved low beneath the ferns and darkleaf vines while 4 war beasts flowed around him like living shadows, silent, lethal, unified. Through their shared bond, Marcus felt everything. Krell's steady, anchor-like certainty, Sarah's twitch-wire senses picking up micro-movements from half a kilometer away, Thorn's cold tactical mapping, Mace's relentless forward focus. The pack wasn't following him. The pack was moving with him. 5 predators, 1 purpose. Behind them, faint flashes lit the sky. The insertion team had engaged. Marcus did not need the bond to know they wouldn't survive. But through the link, the beasts understood his grief and honored it with the simplest, clearest concept. "Pack remembers." He nodded once. Then they pressed on. Hours later, deep into enemy territory, Marcus crouched beside a tree as Sarah fed him sensory data through the link. Air density shifts, heat signatures, electromagnetic traces. Thorn overlaid it with battlefield logic, calculating patrol timings. Mace's excitement sharpened the edges of their shared focus. Krell leaned against Marcus's side, the warmth of the Alpha's presence grounding him. From a nearby ridge, Marcus spotted lights glinting off metal. The Coalition facility spanned a valley hollow, massive, fortified, crawling with soldiers and drones. At its center, towering above the rest, was a shimmering lattice of machinery that rippled like heat waves. The neural disruptor array. Marcus felt Krell's rumble. Sarah's interest. Thorn's strategic disdain. Mace's eagerness to tear through it all. Marcus exhaled. This is it. The pack stiffened with predatory anticipation. Using the enemy scout equipment recovered earlier, Marcus tapped into short-range communications. Coalition officers barked orders in frantic patterns. Neural suppression field stable. Imperial forces unable to coordinate beasts maintain defensive perimeter, primary array powering to full strength. Marcus felt the pack react to that. The disruptor targeted command-based neural bonds, forcing beasts into confused, uncoordinated states. But the pack structure he shared with Krell, Sarah, Thorn, and Mace wasn't command-based. It was instinctive, primal, mutual. A living system, not a chain of control. "Ready?" Marcus asked quietly. For pulses of affirmation hit his mind at once. "Move." The assault. At Marcus's signal, the pack launched silently toward the facility. Thorn moved ahead, disassembling sensor arrays with precise, quiet strikes. Sarah slid under platforms and carved out comm cables before alarms could cycle. Mace burst up onto a guard tower and eliminated 2 coalition snipers before they could even gasp. Krell struck like a falling star, silent until the very last moment, then unstoppable. Marcus followed, ghosting in their wake, guided by the senses of 4 apex predators feeding data directly into his mind. By the time the coalition realized something was wrong, half their perimeter had fallen. The first heavy squad confronted them at a narrow choke point. A dozen soldiers with disruptor emitters on their chests and heavy weapons locked onto Marcus. War Beast spotted, one shouted. Activate suppression field. The soldiers triggered their emitters. A deep hum vibrated through the valley, aiming to collapse neural control bonds. Krell didn't flinch. Sarah didn't hesitate. Thorn didn't withdraw. Mace didn't lose focus. Marcus felt only a mild pressure, like a shift in atmospheric density. The pack continued their coordinated advance. What? How? A coalition officer yelled. He never finished the sentence. Mace hit him like a meteor. Krell yanked a barricade out of the ground, using it as a shield while Marcus moved behind him. Sarah zigzagged across open terrain, cutting sensor drones out of the sky. Thorn tackled a gunner and ripped the disruptor chest unit free, exposing a design that didn't belong to any coalition engineering pattern Marcus had studied. It was familiar. Too familiar. But he didn't have time to analyze it. Not yet. The squad fell. The path to the inner facility opened. Marcus pushed intent across the bond. Disruptor chamber. No delays. Go. The pack surged forward. Inside the disruptor core, the central building loomed like a metal temple, humming with psychic interference. Energy pulsed through conduits and dazzling arcs, powering a core large enough to disrupt war beast bonds across star systems. Marcus felt a chill. This wasn't coalition improvisation. This was engineer design. He ran inside as Krell burst through the main hatch, ripping the doors free. Siren screamed. Soldiers scrambled. But the pack tore through internal defenses with lethal synchronization. Marcus sprinted to the control consoles. Alien characters flashed across the screens, but deeper technical lines beneath the surface, submenus, structuring protocols, were unmistakable. Imperial formatting. Zenther, Marcus breathed. He felt Sarah's alert pulse hit his mind like a sting. Thorn fed him angles of understanding, treachery, motive, opportunity. Krell responded with cold fury threading through the bond. Marcus snapped open a secondary panel and scanned the embedded data logs. Classified Imperial Design Project S, DR-07, Sund, Authorship, High Command Level Permission Layer, Restricted. Zenther's seal. Marcus clenched his jaw. The Empire hadn't been attacked with stolen tech. The Empire had provided it. The Coalition hadn't magically developed a perfect counter to war beasts. Someone in Imperial High Command had given them the tools to neuter Catharian forces. But why? Krell's awareness pressed into Marcus's mind. Not invasive, but steady and firm. The war beast perceived betrayal differently than humans. Less politics, more instinct. Not enemy. Not prey. But something worse. Pack traitor. Marcus swallowed his anger. They could unravel this later. Right now, he needed to destroy the array. He planted charges along the support beams. Krell, defensive arc Sarah, watch the vents. Thor, Mace, keep pressure on the entryways. The pack shifted seamlessly. Coalition reinforcements stormed the hall. Energy bolts lit the air. Mace lunged into a cluster of soldiers, scattering them. Sarah intercepted flanking reinforcements. Thorn breached a secondary turret and redirected its weapons at Coalition drones. Krell guarded Marcus's back, intercepting fire with armored plates while Marcus finished setting the charges. Timer set. Marcus shouted, "Everyone out!" They sprinted out of the chamber, dashed through chaotic hallways, and burst into open terrain just as the entire facility shook. A rising whine cut through the valley. The energy lattice destabilized. Explosive force rippled outward in a shockwave. The disruptor core imploded, then detonated. A pillar of flame tore through the night sky, followed by a rolling burst of displaced air that knocked trees flat in a kilometer radius. The pack staggered but stayed upright, shielding Marcus. The neural field collapsed. Imperial war beasts across the entire sector woke from forced confusion. The Empire would recover its strength within hours. Marcus let out a shaky breath. But the revelation inside that facility weighed heavier than the explosion. Project Sundering. Zinthar's personal authorization. The deliberate sabotage of his own forces. Why? What did he gain? What was he planning next? Marcus didn't know, but he was about to confront him. Extraction. Hours later, an Imperial recovery craft landed in the clearing, engines roaring. Troops stared in shock as 4 enormous war beasts followed Marcus into the loading ramp in perfect unified formation. Commander Cole, the mission officer said, voice trembling, the High Marshal is waiting for you on Helios. He's very eager to speak with you. Marcus didn't reply. Neither did Krell, though the beast's spines crackled with the promise of confrontation. Return to Helios, the confrontation. Zinthar stood in the quiet of Strategic Command's central chamber, hands clasped, mandibles still. His elite guards watched Marcus and the pack approach with thinly veiled terror. Zinthar dismissed them with a curt wave. Alone now, he turned his attention to Marcus. You accomplish your mission, he said calmly. The Empire owes you gratitude. Marcus stepped closer, the pack closing in behind him. You gave him the disruptor. Zinthar didn't flinch. You were not meant to discover that yet. Krell's growl vibrated the metal floor. Zinthar's eyes locked onto the war beast. The war beast division has held too much political power for too long. They influence sectors, dictate campaigns, override high command itself. Their power needed balancing. So you slaughtered your own soldiers to weaken them. Marcus snapped. Temporary sacrifice. Zinthar said without remorse. Necessary sacrifice. Marcus felt something cold settle inside him. Not fear, not shock, clarity. You created this situation, he said slowly. And now you think you can control me and the pack too. Zinthar smiled thinly. Humans are useful. Your bonding capabilities exceeded anything we predicted. I intend to build a new force under my direct command. Human war beast units. Thousands of them. Krell's neural spines flared violently. Sarah hissed. Thorn braced to strike. Mace's claws clicked against the metal floor. Marcus lifted a hand to steady them. Then he stepped closer to Zinthar. You don't understand, he said softly. You don't control us. We choose our path. Zinthar's mandibles twitched. You overestimate your position, Commander. No, Marcus said. You underestimate ours. He let the pack's presence rise. Let their awareness fill the chamber with unified intent. The temperature felt like it dropped. The lights flickered. Even Zinthar took a half step back. Marcus's voice stayed controlled. I'll build your war beast division, but it will be autonomous. It will answer to the council, not to you. And the war beasts will be recognized as allies, not weapons. Zinthar stiffened. That is not negotiable. It's already done, Marcus said. Because if you refuse, I go to the council with proof you betrayed your own troops. And they will tear your command apart. The chamber went dead silent. Zinthar's eyes narrowed. Then he finally inclined his head. You are more dangerous than I expected. Human, he murmured. Marcus stepped back, Krell rising behind him like a shadow. No, Marcus said. I'm exactly what the Valkri recognized on day one. His hand touched Krell's neural ridge. I'm Pack. Months later, the new era. The Symbiotic Combat Division, SCD, rose like wildfire across the Empire. Human candidates were tested. A rare few formed bonds. Each success changed the balance of power. War beasts evolved rapidly under partnership bonding. They expressed opinions, tactical insights, strategies, preferences. They became recognized, finally, as intelligent beings. Council resistance dissolved under overwhelming results. Casualties dropped. Success rates skyrocketed. And Marcus? He led it all. In the council chamber 1 year later, he stood presenting metrics. Operational efficiency is up 78%. Fatalities down 64%. Field success above projections. Neural disruptor technology ineffective against symbiotic packs. Council members nodded, murmuring approval. Marcus concluded, And the war beasts request advisory inclusion in mission planning. They have earned it. Shock, debate, resistance, then acceptance. The Empire began to change. Closing scene. Marcus exited the chamber onto a balcony overlooking the training grounds below. Krell approached, lowering his massive head until his eyes met Marcus's. Through the bond came a concept full of weight and warmth. Pack reshapes future. Pack stands together. Marcus smiled faintly, resting a hand on the war beast's ridge. Yeah, he murmured. Together. Sarah bounded up beside them. Thorn settled into a sentinel stance. May sprawled proudly at their feet. Marcus breathed in the cold air of a changing empire. The beginning of something new, built not on domination, but partnership. A human and 4 apex predators had changed the course of history. Because when Krell sat before him in the Academy hangar and declared Pack Alpha found, he wasn't choosing a commander. He was choosing a future.